favorite memory. There's always this one in particular that comes to mind. It was when I was living in Virginia, and there was this guy who became like a brother to me. And my sister and I decided to go visit him in this other part of Virginia called Bath County. And really rural area. It was about 3 hours away. And we had the Wrangler. It was my dad's. And it's a soft top back then from like the 80s and 90s. You could take off the roof and the doors. And we decided to take it, and we drove to Bath County. And I remember my arms and my legs hanging out of the door and having my head back and my hair flying in the wind. And when you drive through the mountains, she would drive fast, so we'd go up and down and through curves. And because of how fast we were going, it felt like we were flying. And the trees were so big, it just felt like they were encompassing us. And I remember blasting music and just feeling utterly intoxicated by the moment. And this is when I was younger, so for me, I really don't remember thinking about things outside of each moment, especially back then. And this memory really represents that for me. Sometimes there are things that you'd rather not remember. I think that the greatest thing that I've learned is that even though we can't control what we remember, we can control what we do. The choices that we make, the relationships we choose to have, and that ultimately does control what we remember. Being in the mountains, that was a moment that I feel, to a certain degree, almost taught me how important it is sometimes to not think about how I might remember things. I think the moments where we get so caught up that we don't think about, oh, how is this going to affect me in 10 years, end up being the ones that influence us the most.
So we all went to the crypt. There's this music, like there's live music there in the background that like, it's live music of a band I've never heard. So it's like everything in the situation is new. And it's always like the direct alignment of like there and me there and like circumstances in the situation will like elicit it. Like, wait, this and this have happened before. Dim. And this music, it like feels like this and this thing have happened before, and then suddenly, like they were talking for a second, it's like flashes out to the whole situation, being like, this is, I've felt this before, like this thing has happened at the same time as this thing eye gaze in my life at a certain like Hal looked at me or I looked at Leona, or some like little eye gaze exchange happened like during the conversation, and then I had that like, oh wait, that feeling of like, wait, I've felt this before. No. Like, this thing has happened at the same time as this thing in my life at a certain other time. Like, that feeling that we were describing. That's like, has this happened? No. And then something else happened. Like, I noticed the eye gaze thing and had it at first, And then, and I like got it again, this other layer. So it's like these,
but
like,
it's always
other
like the
things
direct
coming.
alignment
So
of like
it
two
wasn't just
circumstances in the
just
situation.
really quickly, like I
will like
noticed this
elicit
thing
it
and then
like,
that
wait,
thing and then
this
that
and
thing.
this
And it
have
was all
happened
like just in my
before.
head, things that I noticed.
It like feels
Which
like
it
this
always
and
is,
this thing have
actually, come to
happened
think of it.
before.
It's always like I hear this thing while I'm seeing this thing, and that's why I get deja vu. So it was like that. And then I was just like, oh, there it is. And just like let it pass.
It is overwhelming. It's like this sort of dip into this other realm of consciousness or something. Because like stuff is going on in the situation, but like there's this other part of me that's like lower down that's like, oh wait.
I wonder
I'm,
if
like,
it's
having
just
this,
like
other kind of present moment,
or like
moment,
this like affirmation
while everything else is like
that the
still
present
happening.
moment is like
It's
exactly
what it needs to
in
be.
my opinion, entirely possible that like my perception of my life and life situations and circumstances already
stuff is going on
together
in
the
the situation
of like this
but like there's this
happening.
other part of me that's like,
so then when
lower
it does
down,
happen, it's like, oh yeah, I'm on the right
I'm,
track.
like, having this like
and that's
other
like the
kind
feeling.
of pause or
It's like
moment
getting a song stuck
while
in your
everything
head
else is
that
like
you
still
don't
happening.
know the or that you don't know the lyrics to, kind of, because you know that you know it, but then you don't really understand how you don't know it, and it's still in your head, and it's like still bothering you. She ended up living in the house that I grew up in from ages like 1 to, or since I was born, to age like 6. And so then I went to her house after we became closer friends, and walking in there was really weird to begin with, but it didn't feel like deja vu. It was more just like, wow, like this is strange, like it seems a lot smaller. But it was like really when I went into my bedroom, my old bedroom, which was her room currently, I remember really strange walking deja through that door, like walking and, like through the doing front, that same that sort door. Of action. And I don't know if it was because that was like my space but I don't know. Well, I was really young when that was a thing, like when I lived there. So I think I remembered walking through that door and like doing that same sort of action, which is what's so spooky about deja vu. I think is like your body repeating itself in some way that's so similar, because you know that you know it, but then you don't really understand how you don't almost know it, and it's still in your head, and it's like still bothering you.
So, I don't know how many years ago, 15, 16 years ago, my mom passed away. She was young, she was 62. So, you know, you go through, I don't know if you've lost your mom, I hope not. But yeah, so not only my mom, but my best friend. So we were really tight. And I always said I really miss her and I want to say goodbye. You know, I didn't have the opportunity. And I kept asking and nothing. You know, at night I go to bed, I wouldn't dream about her. I'm just like, you know, I want to say goodbye. So this one night, and I don't know how long, maybe it was a year or so after she passed, I'm laying there and I'm sleeping, and it's pitch black in my place. And I had this down comforter, and all of a sudden I felt like this air, like somebody had taken my comforter and went like this, you know, in my hair. And I woke up, and I went, wow. You know, I looked around, but I didn't see anything. And then when my eyes focused a little bit more, I looked to the left of my bed, and I saw this oscillating orb that was like midnight colored blue and vibrating and purplish and white. And I looked, and I just felt like there was nothing to be afraid of. It was almost like my mom was saying to me, I'm here. and everything's okay. So I'm trying to rationalize and go, am I dreaming this? I know I'm not dreaming this because I wasn't. So I watched this thing move above me, and I'm on my back, and it's above me, like right at my heart center. And it's just this beautiful, beautiful orb, massive colors. And in that, I could see this fuzziness. I could see my mom's face. And it was the most incredible, peaceful, amazing thing I've ever seen. And I knew that everything was okay. And she came to tell me that. And I watched this thing just rise up and go through my ceiling, and it was gone. And I went, wow, that was really quite cool. And from that point, it was like this big healing thing, you know, for my mom's death. And I said, thanks.
Do you want to choose with that? What's your preference? You want American, Swiss, or cheddar? Yes? We're here to go.